Here is today's tea tasting from Red Blossom Tea Company. And our flavor is this Lan Xiang. I may have pronounced that wrong. It means honey orchid, and it's a Phoenix Oolong tea. And here is what it looks like. Beautiful, dark black. And we've got 5.1, which is close enough, ounces. Look at how beautiful that is. This is a gorgeous tea. Here is your color. We're on the patio this morning, Labor Day weekend, enjoying some tea. We've had this kind of tea before, of a different brand. Here are my tasting notes for this Dan song with the honey orchid scent. Now, I did have this tea before with Yunnan Sourcing, that brand, and I did extensive notes there. So I'm just going to link up that video for you to learn more about this type of tea. So I don't need to repeat all of that. Here's some notes from the website. I do find it interesting, this Lan Xiang style. It's a style where the leaves are oxidized to at least 30%, then given a repeat roasts until this honey-like aroma comes out. Um, that was worthy of noting, but I'm just going to share my tasting notes and maybe talk about how they're different from the first time I tried this variety of tea. I got the lychee and honey, which are both in the fruit category, but when I was smelling the dry tea, I got the honey first and then the lychee was secondary. Honey said, hubby said that it was sweet smelling and he didn't realize it, but was the sweetness of the honey that he was getting. Since it's honey orchid, I should be getting an orchid flowery smell, but I'm not sure I smell that. In the wet version, it changed. Now, sometimes for me, I relate the quality when things change each step to not being as good of a quality. In the wet, I smelled roasted. Hubby said he smelled a warm honey flower, which really cracked me up because that was totally different than the sweet he said the first time. But he had, between the dry and the wet, read the name of the tea. And so now that he knew the name of the tea, he knew what to say that was right. So I can't always trust what he says unless I give it to him without any prior preconceived notions. Golden was the color on my color spectrum. Now body I have as medium, and I had that with the Yunnan sourcing one that I picked also. I did do all of these notes before I went to peek at the other one. So astringency, for this one I put lively and brisk, but for the Yunnan sourcing one I had it as my category number 2, which is my favorite category is number 2. So this is a bit too astringent for me, but as you'll get down to the tasting notes, you'll see that I have always translated the flower taste as bitter, and bitter sometimes is the same effect that astringency can give, even though astringency is dryness. But um, so the flower taste to me is usually always too astringent. I don't like the flower taste. We both said to each other out loud, I get the impression that this tea is one that is not forgiving. I get the impression that this tea is not one that is forgiving, and I really do not want to test it with a long steep. And so then, sure enough, oops, about 12 steeps in, I inadvertently steeped it too long. We forgot about it, and sure enough, it was unforgiving, and that ended our tea session. We could not drink any more of this tea. It did not taste good at all anymore. So for the taste, I didn't get the honey or the lychee that I had initially smelled, and I felt like I was only getting floral. Uh, and I might have been getting roasted, but roasted flour seems like such an odd combination. My personal taste preferences are not for flour, but I do really love roasted, and I did not really like this a whole lot. And the finish had a lingering drying effect and a bitterness at the back of my throat, and that's like the floral just hangs on, and that's where you get most of the taste. And the more I drank it, the more it like stacked up up upon itself on the back of my throat, and it just stayed there. Like I could feel that drying tannic floral bitterness at the back of my throat long after I had swallowed, like minutes after. It was still there. I felt like I needed some food to wash it down. So I only gave this one 3 hearts. I liked it as long as I didn't steep it too long. But the Yunnan sourcing one, I had given 5 hearts, and I read my notes, and I'm like, oh, I really liked that tea, and I think that's why I bought this, anticipating the fact that I would like this tea. But I did not. I didn't like the bitterness in the finish. I didn't like that it was unforgiving. The other company, the roasted flavor, I really loved, but I didn't get any flour. That's what I wrote in my notes. This one, all I got was the flour. Um, but I must say, I have no idea now which one is the way this tea is supposed to taste like. So it could be that this is what it's supposed to taste like, and because it did taste more flowery and it is a honey orchid flavor, so this could be the better tea, but I just don't have a taste preference for it. Or it could be the other tea is the better tea, and I really like the roast. So I don't want you to discount this brand or this tea because I don't have the knowledge of which one is actually better. However, there was a lack of consistency from the aroma to the taste to the finish, which also makes me think this is not as good of a tea. But I would not buy this one. It's interesting how the other one I absolutely loved and I wanted to keep it on hand, and this one I don't even want to finish drinking what I have.